Hey YouTube, this is a trash man, ready to talk some trash. Um, Today I'd like to talk about the Vancouver debates between Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, uh, two intellectual dark web members, or so they've been coined, that kind of talk about today's truths, what's going to get us through this modern era, and what what generally is leading to the general malaise of you know basically us, America and the West. Um, I find it interesting that at the base, their their largest disagreement is a massive divide. Basically, from what I gather, that Jordan Peterson derives truths essentially from archetypes based in Christianity and Judeo-Christian values, and of some sort of deity of type. Um, he isn't. He's kind of vague on that, and I think because he doesn't fully understand it, I don't necessarily think he's being dishonest. And Sam comes from a rational, empirical value system that he says is in dire because of religious belief and dogmatism and radicalism. Both seem to make a case. Obviously, we haven't answered this question because the discussion is still going on. Um, so I respect both of them greatly. My scientific empirical brain, part of my brain, agrees with Sam quite a bit. Whereas Sam wants to nail down if you truly actually believe that our truth is derived from a supernatural being, that's a totalitarian, totalitarian type supreme leader who dictates um, what is right, what is wrong, our morality, our ethics, our code. And Jordan kind of feels that um, I don't think he believes necessarily that there's a supreme being, but he kind of he comes at it from a psychological standpoint, which makes sense. Being a clinical psychologist and a professor of psychology, he seems to think that the archetypes tell us a story metaphorically that are important that we should be using to guide our lives and guide our systems, and that God is a not necessarily a being, but a state of mind, a an acceptance of a truth. These kind of I guess symbols of a god or logos of a god, but not necessarily a being in the traditional, what we would say the traditional Christian view, which I think bugs a little bit of both parties. Atheists don't quite like that answer, and I'm sure Christians don't quite like that answer, but they do like what Jordan Peterson is saying generally as a pathway to get there and to get between good and evil, where we all kind of agree. It seems like Sam Harris, especially, there is a good and there is an evil. We should be heading towards good. We should do everything in our power to do good, and and Jordan will state that as heaven and hell, but basically the intent is all the same. Um, I find it interesting that both men, especially, respect each other humbly and they try to learn from each other, which is great. That is the course of conversation that we should be having, not trying to censor each other because we disagree with them and because it makes us think, which might frighten us to put ourselves out there to think more, which is always a good thing, and to maybe change our views, to reevaluate our views and say, hey, this person brings up a great point. And I've seen this for myself with Jordan Peterson of saying, yes, that's it. I've agreed. I've lockstepped in with what he's saying on how you do this. And it's actually from a biblical story and the nature of the biblical story to improve ourselves and to get us to a truth of sorts. And I agree with that. However, I agree with Sam as well that the Bible, which is the Christian, basically the Christian end all and be all of the entire system, that says this is right and this is wrong and anything in the Bible is right, and you can easily pick apart rationally the parts of the Bible where that becomes tricky. Um, where it's not so clear, and it's certainly not ethical according to our modern code, which we universally accept as true. Things like slavery, things like conquering, violence, very hard justice that we've kind of thrown by the wayside over time. We've decided that they are not ethically the way to go. But I do find it interesting that these guys are having debates like this. I think it's good for all of us. And they're both agreeing on trying to get, I think they agree on a 95 percentile, and that 5% is the sticky point. The devil is in the details, but they generally want to do good and well. And I think the conversation itself opens up dialogue for all of us to follow and continue to try to figure each other out and the world, because it's a never-ending battle. So I'll just leave with that thought tonight. But please, if you like this, please subscribe or give me any comments or a thumbs up if you like it. Take care.